What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and once again, we're joined by an extremely special guest. If you follow me on social media long enough, you know that I'm a huge advocate for meeting your internet friends in real life. And me and this brother, we've been chopping it up on social media for the longest, and we actually got to meet in real life at the Made in Durham Festival a couple months back, and always a joy to chop it up with my brethren. So he's NC to the core. Durham, North Carolina, reps the Tar Heels, reps the Hornets. We're going to get into all of that. So without further ado, we got my man Dejuan H in the building. What's good,
What's
bro?
going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah. Hey, look, I've been on that for a minute too, man. Like some of my when I moved to the area, one of the first people that I hit up was Nick Jew because I knew her. So I'm like, hey, we friends. Let's like start doing stuff. Let's hang out.
Yeah,
Big advocate for it, man.
absolutely. Absolutely. I've yet to have a bad experience with that.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like you see some of these Twitter threads and look, you don't know what to believe and what's like for engagement hype these days anyway. But like
Yeah.
you see these Twitter threads of like these bad experiences, and I'm like, dang, maybe I just do a real good job of curating my timeline because I'm like all the people that I met from Twitter, like they dope people. Like
Yeah.
met Rod, met Karen, I met Charmaine. Like I think we run in like no kind of similar circles. So like
Yeah.
LB, that's another good brother. So it's like I don't know if we just been fortunate, like the people that we met, we haven't had any bad experiences. But I mean, yeah, I'm with you, man. Most of the people that or all of the people that I've met have been dope, like one way or another.
Yeah, I think you alluded to curating your timeline, and that's the key right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
dude.
get all the foolishness out of the timeline.
Man, I treat my timeline like a dictatorship. I'm like, look,
Yep.
it ain't no room to make cases. You ain't convincing me of nothing. I don't want this. This got to go.
Yeah. And oddly enough, I met Rod and Karen again at a Hornets game. It was 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah, man. I saw you talking about that, man. And I told LB he got to get down there for a game, man. Like the in-game experience is dope. Like I try to get down there
Yeah.
like once a year, to catch them like actually in Charlotte. But I catch them all the time when they're here in DC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my first Hornets game since God, probably since like
Probably the Coliseum.
2017.
Okay, no. Okay, so you went when that's post Bobcats. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Now, look, if you'd have went during the Bobcats era, man,
oh,
boy,
I did. And we'll get into all that. But first, I want to start off by talking about what it was like growing up in Bull City,
dude,
Durham,
like
North Carolina.
it's so crazy. Like when I try to tell people that, like every time I go, I'll say this: every time I go home now, there's like this new restaurant, this new building. These like for people that know or familiar with Durham, like Durham was kind of like that, like stepchild city in North Carolina. It was like, Charlotte is the one with the buildings. It's the biggest city. Raleigh's the capital. And like Greensboro, Winston, that whole thing was like more of a college town than Durham was, even though Durham, does have Duke, which is kind of like its own subsector.
Yeah.
But like it was just crazy, man, because it was like this like predominantly black city that didn't have much. It was a lot of crime in the 90s. Everybody know how that was in certain areas. And then to now like see, $1 million condos downtown where like you only went downtown to like pay bills and go to court.
Yeah.
So now, niggas are just like kicking it downtown freely. And I'm like, me and like some of my friends, we always joke about it, like, man, niggas got robbed on these streets, so y'all can like pay $12 for a beer.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, I'm happy to see the city doing well, but then
Mm-hmm.
also kind of like I know people that like born and raised, love it, breathe nothing but Durham, but like the city's kind of like moving in a different direction and like pushing those people out, man. So
Yeah.
it's one of those like gifts and a curse where it's like, all right, we known for something other than like violence or gangs and drugs or whatever, but now it's kind of like it's that essence of what made Durham is kind of losing itself a little bit. So whenever we like where we linked up at Made in Durham, or like I don't know if you're familiar, and I think they still do it. They do like Beats and Bars Festival there
No,
every
I'm not
year.
familiar with that.
Yeah, it's like you yeah, I'll link you with I think it's Crystal that runs that. But yeah,
Okay.
they do like a hip hop festival every year in Durham, and it's just like showing people that grew up here, that live here, that like want to be here, love this city just as much as I do. Like we can all come together and just kick it, man, because it wasn't like that like not even 10, 15 years ago, let alone like
Yeah.
in the 90s.
And so you also used to have a podcast. Talk about that.
Yo, like, and much appreciation to you, man. Like, I have been in podcast retirement since 2018. I
Wow.
haven't done, yeah. So like, so it all started like one. I didn't know what podcasts were. Like, I took a desk job in like 2011 and was listening to like the podcast version of like First Take and Around the Horn and PTI. And I remember, and I think a lot of people are gonna have like a similar kind of awakening experience. Like from listening to that, I think Bomani did an episode of First Take, and I was like, "Yo, who's this brother?" And so found him, found his show, and at this point, I'm working like a menial like desk job, like 8 to 5, literally putting numbers from one spreadsheet to another, like just like the bottom of data entry. And so of course with that you have like 8 hours that you have to kill at work. There's only so much of your iPod or your music that you can go through. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I found that show and I was like, yo, this shit 3 hours. So all I gotta do is listen to this, get to lunch, and my day about over. So started off with that, and then through that, Rod used to call in every day. So when the Morning Jones ended, I found Rod's podcast, and then Rod, that podcast was the first one where I was like, oh wait, yo, like this, like regular niggas are doing this, and they just talking
Yep.
about whatever they want to talk about. So I don't know, that had to be like 2013, 2014, something like somewhere around there. So all my friends, like I'm the most talkative, opinionated one in the bunch, and at that time I was watching like everything on TV, like everything. You name it, I probably seen a couple episodes of it or watched way too much of it. And I just remember like my people were like, yo, you should start one, you should start one. I didn't know what to do. And then he got hooked up with my homegirl Mac, who I used to do the show with. And like we started from scratch. I don't know like how much experience you had with this, but like I had zero experience doing anything creative. So I'm like trying to figure out what the show is, trying to figure out what we want to talk about, getting a website together, getting RSS feeds together, podcast hosting, knew nothing about that.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm trying to figure all this stuff out on the fly. And like, and we were like, this was like, I mean, pre-Zoom. So we were trying to figure out how to do Skype record on calls. And I bought a mixer. So I'm just all plugged in, like trying to figure out like how to do it. And then, eventually we got it off the ground. And I think we did it for like probably maybe 4 or 5 years before and before people, I know people might not know, I'm assuming everybody heard the show. Like that's how popular I am. But yeah, man, like the show was Mac and D Talk TV, and all we did was basically just recap like everything. Like we talked about your prestige shows, your reality TV shows, like your popcorn shows, all that. Like we just two people that love TV, and we just talked about it from like, just like it wasn't like no like, oh, check out the lighting in this scene, and that's telling you. It was just like regular niggas just talking about TV, man, and
Yeah.
people fuck.
So what made you stop recording?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I got an adult job, and I was like, man, I don't want them to like find the show. And it's like,
Oh.
I say nigga a lot. I don't, and like so I was like really worried about like my professional life. I'm like, oh man, like they moving me up to DC. Like this is like a big opportunity. I can't risk like them calling me in the HR and be like, hey man, you said nigga on this podcast 15 times. That is not in our company's best, or some stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and then honestly, like people think about like the fun part of it, right? Like, like having these conversations with people, connection, like dialogue, all of that stuff. Like people think about that. But like it was a grind, man. Like it was a legit grind. Oh, I don't know if y'all can hear that, but my son going off in the background. I promise he has childcare up there. They good. But yeah, man, it was a grind, man. And we did it for like 5 years. We were doing 2 episodes a week, sometimes three. And it was just like, I was burnt out on TV. I was kind of burnt out on like producing the podcast, getting everything together, man. And I was
Yeah.
at first I was just like, yo, like let me take a break. Like let me get the move situated, see how that go. And like if we can pick it back up, we can pick it back up. But then I kind of like got into a groove here. And I was just like, I just didn't have it anymore.
Yeah. So what was the name of this podcast?
Yeah, it was Mac and D Talk TV. I put a lot of creativity into into that. And by saying that, I put no creativity. It was literally Mac, my girl Mac, and then my name D, Talk TV. It rhymes. So I was like, it rolls off the tongue. It's cool. Let's get a logo.
Dope, dope. So getting back to the Hornets talk. So what were your earliest memories of the Charlotte Hornets?
All right. So I never went to like the OG Hornets games. Like, look, man, we grew up in Durham. We ain't had no money. So my
Yeah.
mom definitely won't taking us to Charlotte. So I remember my cousin got like the teal and purple starter jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, like I was born in 87. I think the team first years was like 88, 89, something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't know, like the early 90s. I'm like 5, 6, and I saw my cousin with that jacket, and I was like, yo, that is cool. Like
That's
that
a
is
holy grail jacket right there.
yeah, like man, like that is one of the ones, man. Like you can say whatever you want to about like winning percentages, championships, or whatever. I'm like, yo, we got the dopest jacket ever created.
Yeah.
You can't take that from us.
Yes.
And yeah, man. So like that, like Muggsy and LJ and to a lesser extent Zoe. I got a complicated history with Zoe, man. I don't like how he got out of Dodge, left town, and just never acknowledged that he was here until like a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago, man. So, but yeah, man, it was just a lot of like fun teams, and I don't know, like it felt like and of course I'm watching like in the mid to late '90s. I'm like, it just felt like so fun, man. It wasn't like all of this like, oh, you got to win 45 games a year and make the playoffs. It was just man, do I enjoy turning on the TV and watching this team, right? Like Kendall Gill is cooking, like Glenn Rice is cooking,
Yeah.
Dell was doing this thing, even Rex Chapman, Twitter
Mm-hmm.
legend. Like, it was so much fun, man. And like I'm such a homer, man. Like all of the teams that I root for, like everything is local. So it just made sense.
Yeah. And I remember when the Hornets first came into the league, because well, I'm a OKC Thunder fan first and foremost, and I was that because I grew up a diehard Sonics fan, but I did rock with the Hornets too because number one they were local, and number two, well, relatively local, and number two, whenever they first came into the league, the local Fox affiliate down here in Charleston, they showed all of the Hornets games on regular
Mm-hmm.
TV, so I got to watch them literally every night, and I got attached to them, like just like
Yeah.
you said, the old school, like it was like Muggsy and
Yeah.
J.R. Reed and Kelly Tripucka, like that,
Yep.
like when they first got into the league, and I remember, I think it was their first preseason game, and they got their boot smoked. And after the game was over, the crowd gave them a standing ovation. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, look at that, man.
Yeah.
That's support right there.
Man, it was like I'm telling people, man, like first and foremost, this area is like 100% of college town. Like
Yeah.
everything is like, like like no matter where you like if you grew up in North Carolina, you had to pick a side.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no like, oh well, I kind of like Duke, I kind of like UNC. It was like, no, 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 no. Because you got long ties. So like, I felt like the NBA was always gonna be like an uphill battle, man. But like those like early Charlotte teams, man, like you look at like I think they had the record for like the most sellouts, like consecutive
Mm-hmm.
sellouts to start the organization. And you look at that and you're just like, man, like this is like what happened? Like how did they end up leaving? You know? But yeah, man, like that was kind of like that's how I fell in love, man. And of course, like everybody else, I was devastated, when they went to the Hornets. Cause like at that point,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is they left, I want to say maybe like '03, no, maybe like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
So like at this point, like this is my prime. That was my prime age to like, getting into the NBA because I was in high school then, and there was just no basketball here for like 4 years, and then they came back, and it was the Bobcats, and it was these whack ass colors and
Oh my God, they were bad.
Bobcats named after Bob Johnson, and then
Yeah.
they,
Oh, I forgot about it. It was named after Bob Johnson.
yeah, man, Bob was just bro was acting stupid, man. He put that Charlotte, he put that arena downtown, man, and then he just proceeded to like, like whatever hold people be thinking that like Zeke got on like these owners, the hold that MJ had on on Bob, man, because he basically hired all Carolina guys and drafted only ACC players for like
Yeah.
6 years. And before, I don't know, like with your audience skew a little younger, like before, like Duke was the NBA powerhouse. Duke and UNC won't really put in like quality talent like Sean Maiden, Pop,
Mm-mm.
Raymond Felton was a decent role player for a while. Like, and the best Duke player of that run, like the mid 2000s, what, Gerald Henderson, maybe? Like
He
he was in the
was
league
on the
for like
Bobcats.
years.
Yeah.
But man, those were some rough years, man. So that's how I test like like a Hornets fans the realness. Like, man, was you there when we was like it was seven and I
Seven and
think the
59.
that's what it was, the worst winning percentage in NBA history, when there was a generational player. I will never like. Look, I don't get too deep into NBA conspiracies, man, but I'm 100% certain they were like, it's two things that the NBA has done. Three things, around the fact. They
Okay.
rigged it for Patrick to go to the Knicks. Everybody know that. The envelope
Frozen
was folded.
envelope.
They suspended Jordan secretly in 93, 94. Was that 93, 94 or 94,
Mm-hmm.
95? Yep. They didn't want to talk about that. And then they made sure Anthony Davis did not go to the Hornets because the NBA owned the Pelicans, or the New Orleans Hornets at that time. The NBA owned that team, and I will 100%, I will go to my grave believing the only reason they sold that team is because they promised them the first pick and a generational talent. I'm going to carry that to my grave. Nobody care about the Hornets grievances, but I'm just saying, I just need to get that out there in the ether.
Yeah. Man, you might be onto something with that
I'm
conspiracy.
telling you, man. They owned them. They was like, yo, we got to offload this team. But New Orleans is a football town. Like
Yeah.
nobody like, and this is like, we're not talking about like $3 billion for like what the Mavs just got, or a $3 billion valuation for the Hornets. Like, man, the New Orleans Hornets, like in 20, what was that? It might have been like 2012, 2011, 2012. They sold for like 250, right? They
Yeah.
was like, it was a bargain deal,
Yeah. Man, speaking of ownership, I don't know if are you familiar with is a podcast called Sports Legends of the Carolinas.
No, who do that?
Is a guy named Scott Fowler. He writes for the Charlotte Observer.
So I'm familiar with Scott. I didn't know he
Yeah,
did a
and
podcast.
he had George Shin on one of his episodes, and
Yeah,
that was an extremely fascinating listen. Like he was, and just like looking back in retrospect with what transpired with him moving the team to New Orleans, and just hearing the regret in his voice
yeah,
when talking about, like, he was very forthcoming about how bad he maneuvered in terms of moving the team.
yeah, man. It was like like it's one of those things where we get so used to like, like owners kind of like playing chicken with a city. Like, hey, man, we need a new arena. We need y'all to pony up. And like, and I think that the main difference, and I don't know, I'm gonna listen to it because I'd be real interested to see, like a
Yeah,
lot of the owners from that era, they are not as rich as these dudes that are coming into the league. Like Ballmer can say, I'm tired of playing second fiddle to the Lakers. Here go 8 billion out of my pocket. Let's build something in Inglewood, right? Like
yep,
you have all of this like tech money, hedge fund money. Like, so I think that like the owners now are just richer, right? So like for them, it was a necessity. Like, hey, I'm providing something to the city. Like, this is going to be a gathering spot. You can build businesses around it. You're going to collect taxes off of it. Like, we need y'all to chip in. And I just think that, like, you know, I think the city of Charlotte called his bluff. I don't know how he sees it, but I think the city of Charlotte called his bluff, and it was just like, all right, we out.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite Hornets moments?
Oh man, so it got to be again. I hate. I keep coming back to Zoe, but it got to be the because we don't. I'll be the first to say, man, we do not have a lot of like playoff success. Man.
Yeah.
We had what, like maybe one or two second round teams in
Mm-hmm.
the 90s. But that was a big one. God, it might have been like 90, maybe like 93, 94, something. I can't remember the year. But playing the Celtics and like Robert Parrish is like, I don't know, man. Like he out there on like he had
Yo,
the Patrick Ewing knee braces, man.
I
Them joints,
forgot he was with the Hornets.
man, them joints is basically memory foam at that point, man. But yo, he so Zoe hit like a game winner, like, and it's early in the series, man. But like that was a big one. I think like, and it's I don't know. I think it's gonna be kind of hard to explain this to people, but like LJ was like a real big deal, man. Like he was the whole like grandmama like promotional stuff. He was on like episodes of Family Matters in the
He
90s, but like
was.
yo, like just him like because we just we didn't get a lot of like cool players, right? And like that was like somebody that you had to talk about. He was like, college champion, like that UNLV teams in the early 90s beat the shit out of Duke. Like let's not forget that. But yeah, man, like that, of course, like you know, of course the Kimber run. But quietly, man, like one of my like favorite Hornets players, like, and this is like one of my low key guys, but Gerald Wallace, man, like dude was like a
Crash.
yeah, man, dude was just like a lunch pail guy, man. Like
Yeah.
he showed up, and like his stats were never like never insane. It was always like some like 17, 9, and like 5, right? And
Yeah.
not a good shooter, but played crazy defense. And one one of the biggest days I remember, like he was like an unrestricted free agent one year, and I was like, man, this dude balled out for us. He's gone, like he's not coming back. But he re-signed, and I was like, all right, this is my guy, man. Because nobody did that, man. Like who would sign up to be in like a middle market where you're playing second, maybe third fiddle to like Duke, UNC, and NC State when they were good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it was just like it was a lot of good moments, man. Like it's drafting Melo. I wasn't a big fan of that, but a huge moment for the franchise, man.
Yeah. And you bringing up Gerald Wallace. I remember going to a Bobcats game. This is when they were actually good that year. This was 2010.
Yeah,
And that was a fun team to watch. It was like him,
yeah.
Steven Jackson,
Steven
Raymond
Jackson,
Felton, Boris
I think
Diaw, DJ Augustin was on the team.
DJ Augustin. Was Roger
Um,
on that team? Nah, Roger might not have been on that because that was actually a playoff team too. I think that might
yeah,
have been the first time that the Bobcats
yeah.
made.
Larry Brown was the head coach.
Yeah, man, Larry ain't take no shit.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I remember they got swept, but they made it. That was the first time they
Yeah,
made it in Bobcats history.
man. I tell you, I used to love watching Eddie Jones. He was my guy.
Dude, you want to talk about like and I talk about this all the time on Twitter. Like there is just certain dudes where it's just like I couldn't describe a more aesthetically pleasing game. Like the
Yeah,
guy just like people can hoop, like LeBron can hoop, right? But like look at the way Bron hoop and then like compare that to somebody like Paul George. Like when you see Paul George hoop, it's like, is he even trying? It just looks so like T Mac was another one where it was just
yeah,
like some dudes just float, man. And like Eddie Jones, I remember, man, like they used to they used to run like these like, and this is like very like unadvanced like basketball in the mid 90s, but like they used to run like these like baseline pin downs, and he's just the way he came off the pin down, it was just like that's going in every single time, man. Like that dude game was just so smooth, man.
yeah. It was. He was a big fan of his. So,
Yeah.
you talking about the owners and how they just talking about like affairs with money. You are now in the world of finance. So how did you get into that world?
Yeah, like so I wish I had like some kind of like deep story. Like I watched Wall Street or or a Boiler Room or one of those movies. But like honestly, so my uncle went to Howard, got an econ degree. And this was like he graduated from Howard probably, I don't know, maybe like oh 03, oh 04, something like that. So I'm in freshman, sophomore year in high school. So he goes to Howard, he gets his econ degree, and like that was the first time I was exposed to DC. So I used to come up and visit him. I'm like, yo, this city is dope. And then right after college, he gets this job at Merrill Lynch, and like he's the first person in my family to like go to college. So he gets
Mm-hmm.
this job in Merrill Lynch in New York, and I mean, this is like the early 2000s. He's making like I don't know, like $150, 200. Got this sick apartment overlooking the skyline in New York, and I was like, I'm doing that. Like that's it. Like I didn't need to see nothing else, man. So it was like everything that I every decision that I made from there forth was just to get in the world of finance, get in investing, because I saw how my uncle was living in like '06, and I was like, yo, that's dope.
Man, and that's crazy because Combat Jack had a similar story because when he graduated from Cornell,
Mm.
and I guess he was home and he visited his cousin, and he came home, or he went to his cousin's house, and he was in the kitchen and he saw his cousin's paycheck on the table, and
Yeah.
he was like, that's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And then
Yeah.
went to Cornell, and then ironically also went to DC and went to law school at Georgetown. I was like,
Dude.
wow.
Yeah, man. Like that was like he was like because we were close because this is like typical black family. Like he's my uncle, but we are also like 7 years apart. So like he
Mm-hmm.
was like kind of like an older brother. So like and he used to always say, like, man, this is like, dude, like this is gonna set me up. This is gonna set me up. You should think about it. You should think about it. So like, I went to a early college program at Morgan State. I did finance at Central. I got a master's in wealth management from down in Gardner Webb. All of these like series exams and all that stuff, man. And yeah, like I mean, at first I was just doing like all of these like bullshit like middle office jobs, and it was just like back office stuff, making no money whatsoever, just basically being like a spreadsheet pusher. But yeah, man, like eventually, one of the big banks came and changed everything, man. I was like, okay, now I'm kind of living that finance dream that I had as like '05, '06, man.
Oh, dope. So talk about what it was like moving to DC.
Oh man. So like so I had experience with it. Because I used to come up here and visit my uncle all the time. And like it was just one of those cities where it was so like lively, and I used to come up here like routinely, like find any reason to come up here. And I was always like, man, if I had an opportunity to live here, I think like me, man. Like I was cool with just being in Durham for the rest of my life, man. I was like, I love this place. I love the people. It's family. It feels like home, right? What is home? And I was like, man, I don't think I ever leave. And then coincidentally, like one of my homegirls was working at my firm, and she knew of a brother that worked in the DC office who's
Yeah.
also from Durham. And she was like, I'm gonna connect y'all. He from Durham, you from Durham, y'all both in finance. Like y'all should just talk. So I talked to him, real good brother. He was like, look, man, like we got something coming up. If you want to do it, like you'll have to move up. They'll take care of all that stuff, but you got to move up. And I was like, dude, say no more. Like, I'm there. Like at that point, it didn't matter like what the money was. Like, unfortunately, it worked out, but it was just kind of like I get to live in one of the cities that I loved growing up because it's so much to do. It's so black here. Like the area that I live in now, man, it's like predominantly black, and it's like it feels good. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
know people. It's just kind of like this feeling of like home, and like you're looking at all these like successful people around you. so yeah, man. So like I got the call, got the offer, and moved up. That might have been like 2018. So I've been here like 5 years, 5.5 years now.
Okay. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
What was the biggest adjustment going from Durham to DC?
Yo, parking, paying for parking everywhere. Like that is such a foreign concept to me, man. Like my apartment complex was like, yeah, we got a garage, but it's 125 a month. I'm like, but I live here. They're like, yeah,
Wow.
125. My job, because all the jobs downtown, like they don't own any of those garages, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
job was like another 350. So I'm like, yo,
What?
I got a car payment, I got insurance, and y'all telling me it's gonna cost like 500 to like just park anywhere. I said, yo, forget this car. I sold it
Yeah.
immediately. So like the biggest adjustment was like, you got to drive everywhere down there in North Carolina. Like you need a car, right? But when I got up here, like I stayed in like a neighborhood that had a metro, so I could walk to the train. Like back then, Ubers wasn't $30 to go anywhere. Like, you can get you an Uber for like $10.
Yeah.
So like the first adjustment, man, was just like, aside from like the sticker price of like, apartments and stuff like that. But it was just like, yeah, I got to get rid of my car, and I'm about to live this real city lifestyle, like walking and catching the train everywhere.
Oh, but at the same time, you're still living out your dream.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like
And
I couldn't, like the work is the work, and like what we do is we basically like I don't know if I had to give like a 2-minute synopsis of it. It's just we're in the advice business, right? Like people come to us with problems, like, hey, this is how much I make, this is how much I spend, this is what I have, this is what I'm trying to do for the rest of my life. I'm trying to buy a second house or fund a wedding or pay for college. How do we build a portfolio to where we can do all of those things? So like it's really like no 2 days are the same, because no two clients like profiles are the same, right?
yeah.
And like it's engaging work. So I love it, man. Like I love it. Like I don't know if it's like I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life, but it's good for now.
Oh, hey man, as long as you're enjoying yourself, keep rocking, man. So now we're going to get into the 5 question segment. So the first and last
Do it.
question are the same question I ask every guest I have on here. Questions 2 through 4 are 100% random. So question number 1, what were your go-to school lunch items?
Ooh. So I all right, I gotta ask, like, what are we talking about? Because by the time high school came around, man, we was leaving school going to get Bojangles, getting cookout trays.
Man, all
So,
right.
but nah, but like
Let's say like elementary, middle school.
oh, dude, it's the square pizza, man, with the white cheese that you ain't never seen before that barely melts. And if you don't eat that joint in like 5 minutes, man, it's basically a brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog. I don't know. Look, they tell you it's mozzarella, man, but I don't know, man. That joint ain't melt down at all, man. That joint had a high smoke point, man.
And it's funny that you bringing up the high school years, what your routine was, because that literally was question number 2. Being that this is a Carolina thing, Cookout or Bojangles?
Look, man, look, Cookout has gotten me through a lot of drunk nights, man. But I'm gonna tell you, there is nothing North Carolina can offer you better than a chicken biscuit first thing in the morning with the fresh fries with the Cajun seasoning on. I mean, they got to be like fresh out the
Yeah.
out the grease, man. Like when I tell you, like if people want to argue about like all of these other type of fries, I'm like, that's fair, because like a consistency thing, like certain Bojangles aren't going to be as good as the others, man. Like you got to go to certain ones, and
Yeah.
that's what I try to tell people. Like I can't emphasize that enough, man. Like you might as well think of all of these joints as like independent contractors, man. Some of them ain't hitting, man. But there was one like where we grew up on like Highway 70. That's kind of like the main strip that'll take you in the Raleigh. There was one right there, man. When I tell you the fresh fries, man, that was my absolute go-to. Like Cookout, they got me through a lot, man. And I don't think people know. Like, I went to Cookout, like, because we don't have them around here. Like, the nearest one is probably like an hour and 30 or whatever.
Okay.
And I got a tray, and that joint was like $9. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, man. It's crazy how much the price is going up on them cookout
Man, I
trays.
remember that joint used to be what, $3.99 or $4.99, something like that, man. And it was just packed, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
nah, I gotta go. I still gotta go Bojangles, man.
So what were your go-to orders at both spots?
Oh yeah. So Bojangles is Supremes, fries. I used to get a extra side of dirty rice. Got to get the dirty rice in, just
Mm-hmm.
going all carbs with a sweet tea. And then at Cookout, oh man, it changed over the years because it used to be just a barbecue tray, Cajun fries, corn dog. But now I've gotten into the big double burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little bacon on there, same size fries, corn dog, man.
And you know, as far as with Bojangles, I didn't realize until I got on Twitter how many people really, 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 really rock with the chicken supremes.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the supremes. Would just get the regular fried chicken, but
Oh no,
apparently I'm
you
missing
crazy.
out.
You living wild out here, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like I'm
that seems to be the consensus.
man, dude, like the only time I get like actual chicken, like sometimes I'll do like a 3 wing dinner,
Mm-hmm.
but like, man, I can't think of the time I went in there and got like a 2 piece. That's crazy. I don't know nobody that did it either, man. Like you go in there like, hey, like it's one of those things where like, look, you know why you here, man. Get the Supremes.
Yeah. And as far as cookout, my order is almost similar to yours. I get the big barbecue, I get the barbecue tray with everything on it, Cajun fries. Instead of the corn dog, I would get the chicken quesadilla,
Yeah.
and I
So,
would
so
get and I get a half sweet tea, half fruit punch.
okay. Yeah.
But they actually have a new side called the walking taco.
I saw that. I saw that. Like that, yo, that side menu. So it used to be like relatively small. Like you can get onion rings, you can get nuggets, corn
Mm-hmm.
dog, you can get fries. But now, like you said, they got them chicken quesadillas up there, got a walking taco. I was like, yo, what is going on here?
Yeah, that walking, I didn't know what to expect. And basically, like they'll have it's like the little small bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
And basically, what they do is they crush it and just like put taco meat and sour cream and cheese and lettuce in it and just like close the bag back up and
Yeah.
bring you and give you a fork. I'm like, man, this is all right here, man. That was pretty good
Hey,
eating.
next time I go, man, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, no doubt. Question number 3. Who is your least favorite Tar Heels player ever?
Oh man. All right. That's a good question. Yo, what's my guy name? He he might have been on like I think he might have been on like the 08, 09 team. Um is it damn, I'm about to tank this. I gotta look it up.
What
Um
position did he play?
no, no, that's easy. I'm sorry. It's Larry Drew II.
My man.
Yeah,
Yes.
yo, my
Yes.
bad. I didn't mean to offend you. I don't know why it
Yes.
took me that long to figure that. Yo, that dude was one. Yeah, he won't good, man. He won't good. And he was on that, like he was mad that was that Kendall? He was mad Kendall took his job.
Yeah.
And he pieced out. I don't know where he went after that. Like the
He
other
went to
people,
UC he went to UCLA.
and then the Ware twins
They went to
followed him. I
UCLA
think
too.
they
Yep.
went to UCLA too. So like all these other people, like like LB, he get really into recruiting. So I don't pay attention to the kids that like commit and then decommit. Like I don't count that. But like him, yeah, man, he was one. I was like, and the team was sorry. Like the
Yeah.
team was sorry before. Like I think that was like right after '09, we had right after '09, we had 4 guys going in the first round. So that was like 2010 was a rebuilding team. And
Mm-hmm.
he showed up like, I got this. This me. Like, I'm the man here. And I was like, oh my God, this nigga's so sorry.
So sorry.
Yeah. So yeah.
Young, he ain't nobody young.
Yeah, nobody, man. And he was like, look, like the quote about bro, he ain't even look sweet, man. They're like, yeah, these boxy ass like 2K12 crossovers. Like he ain't had no wiggle, man. I was like, get this nigga off this team, and he was so
I
sorry.
hated his jump shot so much.
Yeah, bro. Like he was terrible, man. Like that that was one of those guys. Like I'm gonna remember that dude forever, man. Like I have other people that I dislike. Like I don't like the whole like how McCants tried to like extort the school.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like how Joseph Forte was supposed to be the man and he didn't do shit in the
Ooh.
league. Like I got people that are like I dislike. But like he's just yeah, man, because he won't good, man.
Yeah, he's at the top of the list. Question number 4. What's your favorite place to eat in Durham?
Oh, that's a all right. We'll take Bojangles and Cookout out. So every because I mean that's like it's blasphemy if I say anything else, man. Like those are the two spots, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple places.
Okay.
The first one is Pizza Toro. It's in downtown at 5 Points. Like one of the best pizzas that I've had in the city. So good. Um, Two is Q Shack. Like I have to get Q Shack every single time. It's a barbecue spot. They've been there for I don't know, Q Shack been there since I can remember. But it's
Okay.
like it's not downtown. It's off like University, like where 15501 starts and it takes you to Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Really good barbecue. And the last spot, man, I gotta shout out. I don't know if you ever been. It's a place called Pickleback 2 because they moved from one location to a different location, but they
Okay.
got a food truck in the back. It's like an actual club, right? So you go there at night, they got a food truck in the back, and it got the best fried pork chop sandwich I've ever had in my life.
You said it's called Pickleback 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Pickleback 2 is over there on I don't know if you ever been to Motorco. It's like a little music hall, like on the other
Mm-mm.
side of downtown. Yeah, man. Like when I tell you, it's like it's fried bone in on white bread with the hot sauce. Like, wow, chef's kiss, bro.
Good to know. Good to know. And last question. What was the last thing that really made you laugh?
Mm, man, that's a good question too. Oh, man, that's gonna damn. I'm gonna have to think about that one because man, I haven't seen any good movies or anything that made me laugh in a minute, man. But oh, dude, you know what? I've been rewatching Modern Family,
Mm-hmm.
and it, it's weird because like I used to watch all of these like serious shows, like all these like prestige dramas, but like it's just something about like physical comedy and somebody just acting stupid, man. Like slipping in some water and then the pan flies across the room, and like so I've been watching that shit, man. And I'm telling you, like if you need something to just throw on in the background, kind of like half pay attention, maybe not pay attention, like that's been getting me by, man.
Modern Family. Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah, like I fell off. Like I was watching it live, but I fell off somewhere. Like I have like a short attention span. And around that time, man, like I was, I started to feel myself a little bit. I was like, all right, man, I'm doing a podcast. I don't got time for these little sitcoms. I'm reviewing Mad Men and Breaking Bad and shit. But like it's something about just man, 20 minutes. The show is just doing nothing but telling jokes. You laugh and you go on about your day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Man,
man.
that's a good list right there. So anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I do. Like I'm just, like I don't, I'm getting back out there tiptoeing into the podcast world. I don't think I'm gonna start nothing, ain't doing nothing. But yeah, man, nah, I have nothing. Like you can follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever, at Dejuan H Dejuanh. That's it, man. Like I got nothing.
All right, tight. So thank you for being such a great guest, man. Seriously, I had an awesome time chopping it up with you again.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm always down to come back, man. Like I told you, I can't talk baseball. I don't know nothing about baseball.
All good.
Yeah,
All
I did
good.
I did that bandwagon hop to the Nationals when I moved up here. We won a
Mhm.
championship, so that's it. That's all I got.
That's all you need. You got your chip. So, hey, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, man.
So make sure y'all like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke. And speaking of baseball, make sure you download, and subscribe to my other my baseball podcast, which is At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm at Danny Foxworth 843. You can find all of the visuals of all of my podcast episodes there. And for D1 and myself, this has been another episode of Since We Last Spoke. And until next time, y'all be good. Peace.